Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the I Care Baltimore live virtual event. I am Ryan the Lion from Magic 95.9. Be sure to catch me weekdays 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. inside the Lion's Den.
Ooh, the Lion's Den. I'm Persia
like
Nicole.
that.
You can check me out Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on 92Q. And tonight, it is all about building a better Baltimore. That's what we all want, right? So, of course, we have to bring on some positive vibes around here. The guy who helps us build a better Baltimore, brick by brick, Mayor Brandon Scott.
Peace, y'all. Peace, Persia. Peace, Ryan. It's so great to be here with you all. Now, I want to say that I'm excited to join you all for Radio 1's I Care Baltimore campaign event. The group of people you're going to see here today is composed of partners who are working really together to make Baltimore a safer and a better city. And that's what we need to make that difference. It's going to take a multifaceted, and to borrow Director Jackson's word, a blended approach to public safety that not only includes law enforcement, but also public health, and more importantly, the community and community-based methods to generate positive change in our city. Radio 1 and Project Exile have made it possible for us to uplift the many pieces of this work, including the crucial contributions of our community-based organizations like Pivot. For those who don't know, Pivot is doing great things here in Baltimore. They create a pathway for women returning from prison to reclaim their lives, rejoin their families, participate in our economy in a meaningful way, and reignite themselves in our communities. This is key because building public safety in Baltimore begins at home, and it begins with all of us. My Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement and Office of Children and Family Success know firsthand the important work underway at Pivot. And as we work together to reconnect, strengthen, and maintain families of those experiencing incarceration, like what we are doing in our new Be More Reconnects program, helping maintain those critical family relationships while residents are behind bars or returning home. I'm really excited about what we're doing and announcing here today. I Care Baltimore will offer Pivot resources and airways to spread their message and mission so that more people can benefit from the service. And we know, Ryan and Nicole, that they are needed. This is a tremendous opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this work and partnership come to fruition in a few weeks. I want to thank Radio 1, Project Exile, Pivot, the U.S. Attorney, Monsi, BPD, and everyone who's tuned in for your dedication to safety in Baltimore. It is much bigger than one person. It's much bigger than one radio station. It is much bigger than one community. This is what we have to do every day, all of us. And I know it will be a great panel discussion this evening. And I encourage you all to stay tuned and stay connected. Peace.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much for those words, Mayor Scott in the building. And talking about keeping Baltimore safe, someone who knows a lot about that, Baltimore Police Commissioner Michael Harrison. How are you, Commissioner Harrison?
Good evening. I am doing well, and I hope you and our listening audience are doing well. I want to thank Radio 1 for having me in the I Care Baltimore campaign event as an ongoing partner in uplifting our neighborhoods and communities. I Care launched in 2020 as a partnership with Radio 1, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, and our police department. Partnerships like these are invaluable, but it also speaks to the importance of showcasing the many community-based organizations that do amazing work in our communities every day. Together with our local, state, and federal law enforcement partners, we're continuing to work hand in hand with reducing violent crime, while collaborating with organizations that work daily with our youth, with reentry, with many other marginalized groups in our community. So as we work together to address the root causes of violent crime and make our city safer, organizations like Pivot continue to help us in doing just that. The ongoing work being done by Pivot is not only making positive change in our community, but transforming the lives of those they serve and their families. The Baltimore Police Department is extremely proud to be a partner with Radio 1 and the I Care Baltimore campaign. Together, we're strengthening our communities and making our city safer because we care, because I care. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
That's what it's all about. We all care, and collectively together want to make sure that we have a better Baltimore, brick by brick, like I was saying. So that was a perfect kickstart to an amazing conversation tonight from two people who absolutely care. Let's now bring in some other guests who also care. First up is newly appointed and the first Black U.S. attorney for the District of Maryland, Erek. Barron, how are you?
Welcome.
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate being on here with you all, and it's a delight to be here with the fellow panelists and Radio One for this exciting launch of I Care Baltimore.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here as well, and congratulations also. Tonight, another guest that we're having that is a amazing individual doing so much. Veronica Jackson, Carlita Asabi, part of the Pivot program. I want to thank you and welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Let's bring in one more member of our night, as Sydney Burns from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. Hey, Sydney. Oh, you're on mute. We want to hear that voice, girl.
Uh-oh.
There we go. Is that better?
There we go.
You would think I know how to work this streaming stuff at this point in time.
Welcome on in.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Look at us. We're all here tonight.
Yes, indeed. And all for a good cause, Perj. All for a great cause.
And whatever you're watching from tonight, go ahead and log on to icarebaltimore.com to find resources in your community and take the pledge to, do something to help your community. Really do something that shows that you care. I think this is the perfect time for all of us to take our own personal pledge. Can we do that really quick? Just to kind of show that we all care.
Let's do it.
I'll start, and I think Veronica, as well as I think this is going to be something I can do with your organization. I pledge to be more active in women's groups that support low-income families and low-income areas. So I really want to be a part of that more. So that's going to be my pledge to the community right now. So, Ryan, what is your pledge?
Now, I love my youth. I have two young boys, so my pledge is to do more with the young men in our community and make sure that we get them on the right path. So definitely, yes.
Let's do it. Let's see.
Let's see what we're going to go to next.
Mr. Barron, what about you?
I pledge that our office is going to be community-based. We're not going to be just known for our enforcement and law enforcement work, which is important, but an important pillar of what we do is what I Care stands for. And so we're going to be supporting reentry and returning citizens. We are going to be supporting community-based violence intervention and mentoring programs. And we are going to be a part of and in the schools and ensuring our youth know how valuable they are.
I love it.
Awesome. Good stuff. What about you, Sydney?
I pledge as a part of the BOMC team that we ensure that all of our residents are informing and leading the conversations around public safety. We really rely on the folks in the community to inform the work that we do. So we definitely pledge to ensure that they not only have seats at the table, but, own the table.
Yeah.
Love it. What else do we have next?
Yes, I pledge to be unafraid to share who I am and where I come from, to help those that are in need of knowing who they are and their true potential.
I love that. We have to own ourselves, right? It starts with us.
That's it, man in the mirror. Now, Veronica, what about you?
I pledge to continue to do authentic work in my community that is not only just about the work, but more importantly about the healing. I believe that on the other side, there is so much joy and freedom in healing and connection. So I pledge to continue to do the work in my community to bring about this healing and connection.
I love it. And you know what? If you don't want to pledge something that maybe is something that you can't do right now, you can pledge to go outside of your door and just clean up the streets. You can pledge to take your neighbor's trash out because maybe, you know, you have an elder, you know, they can't maybe take all the trash, or pledge to watch your cousin's kids, honey, so they can go to work. Whatever the pledge is pledge to do something good for your community, because that's what it's all about.
And those things are inspiring, you know what I mean? Yeah. Do something like that. And, you know, they say a smile is contagious. Those kind of acts are contagious. You know, people see those and it makes a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes you feel good too. You're like, that's my good deed, right?
Right. Absolutely. I think it's a lot of it is understanding that in our communities, we can be the change that we want to see. We don't have to wait for anyone else to key us in or tag us in. Whatever we want to see in our communities, it starts with one person. And so we can be that person that leads the charge in bringing that change about.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Erek, what happened to that camera over there? I'm like, look at it. There we go. Oh, there we go.
We got him back.
So, Erek, really quick, as a newly appointed attorney for the District of Maryland, many people have said that, you know, with your history as a prosecutor, you have deep knowledge about what it is needed for this role. What do you think is needed for Baltimore? And let's kind of talk about your plans for the city. I wonder if you can hear us. You're like adjusting.
I'm not sure he did.
He making sure the angles are right. Okay, so we while he get his angles together, let's actually talk about the Pivot program. I think we could dive into that, Ryan. Right, talk about exactly what Pivot is, because people might not be familiar with the program. So, Veronica and Carlita, can you talk about this? Veronica first, then Carlita.
Sure. So, Pivot, we are a women's only reentry workforce program. We are one of the only gender specific reentry programs here in Baltimore City. And our focus in the work that we do is helping a woman to not let her past define her future. Many times when a person is a returning citizen, we can sometimes lower our own vibration by living up to our ID number or our past. So here at Pivot, we work to make sure that when that woman is showing up to work, she's showing up as the very best version of herself.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Absolutely. Carlita, what's your experience with Pivot?
Oh, wow. So at one time, I defined myself as 916063. And that is my former ID number. After serving 22 years in prison, I came home and I thought that I knew everything and I thought that I was going to be okay. But psychologically and emotionally, I was broken and no one really paid attention to me. I spent so many years in prison. I did not want to come home and live with someone. So I got myself into a program, and that program gave me what I did not need. They gave me some stability, something that I did not have. But as far as helping me psychologically and emotionally, there was a lack. And I am someone, if I am in need, I will speak up and say, this is what I need, because I recognize that in order for you to help me, if you are in a position to give me, then I have to communicate what it is that I need. And I've done that. And I haven't even been home 2 years yet. And I'm communicating what I need. So after a while, you know how driving a car and you run out of gas and you just stop. And you're trying to move, but your vehicle won't move because you have no gas. Well, physically, that's how I became. I ran out of gas. And I ran out of gas because there was nothing filling me up, again, psychologically and emotionally. And one day I expressed this to a gentleman, and the gentleman, without my permission, gave 2 different organizations my information. He explained a little bit of what I shared. The first person that reached out to me, it sounded like the same thing that I've been through while I was incarcerated. And I gave it a try for one day. It didn't appeal to me. And so I spoke up and said, this is not a good fit for me. So then the second phone call is when I met Miss Veronica Jackson. And we had a conversation. She appeared to me as relational instead of someone who was just about a 9 to 5. And because she came to me, her approach was relational, it kind of made me relax. I'm a little stubborn and I can be a bit prideful, but she made me comfortable. And so I said I would give her program a try. And so when I showed up, I was a bit like taken aback. I was like, oh Lord, this seems like another program. But you know, I sat there the first day and I spoke up. I expressed how I felt and I expressed where I'm at. And the only thing that the team said to me was just give it a try. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but give it a try. And I did that. And I'm telling you, I got a tune up. I got my brakes fixed. I got the whole full body work. I'm telling you. And this is coming from someone who is very transparent. If it don't work, it does not work. And I will tell you that because I've spent so many years incarcerated. I don't have time to waste other people's time or my time. We're talking about my life. I'm from the city of Baltimore, but guess what? It's so foreign to me. Everything is new, and a lot of it is disheartening. But being in Pivot, I've learned to own who I am as a woman, not who I was and what I've done as a kid, as a child, as a teenager, not what I've been through that wasn't my fault, but own who I am today and talk about those traumas that I've been through in a way in which I can heal from. And being in Pivot, it gave me the opportunity to relax and just be myself. And I think that was the one thing that was missing because I invested so much of my life being what other people wanted me to be and speaking how other people wanted me to speak. But when I came across this team, I'm gonna get her because I don't call it a program. It is a life-changing experience. Because if you show up for yourself and you want something different, you will walk away fulfilled. And I'm not just saying that because I went through the program. I'm saying it because I experienced Pivot. I experienced Pivot in a way in which I am not the same person who even walked out of the Maryland Correctional Institution for Women. And believe it or not, I think that I was pretty much good, in good shape. But I'm telling you, psychologically, I'm more balanced. Emotionally, I'm more whole. I can be uncomfortable with being comfortable of having uncomfortable conversations, if that makes sense. Because I own who I am and I recognize that I am free to choose what goes around in my parameter, in my space, and not apologize for the decisions that I make that are conducive for me. And I got that within 8 weeks of doing the work. And I'm someone who developed programs for women who are incarcerated. I've done that throughout my incarceration, but I had never experienced anything like the women and the men and the man that is on this Pivot team. They care so much about the people that they work with. It's more than just giving you an opportunity. It's giving you a space to recognize that you are more than enough and that your best is good enough. Your best may look raggedy to somebody else, but even in your worst state, if you are producing your best, they will meet you right where you are. And if they did, I'm telling you, this is from someone who speaks her mind and someone who will tell you if it ain't working. I'm telling you, Pivot is special. And I believe that there is something they're worth investing in. And I'm saying invest in time. I'm saying go find women that need the space to heal and connect with themselves first. It's not just about setting you up for a job. It's about setting you up for yourself because you take you everywhere you go. And so one of the things that I appreciate about Pivot is that they take their time and they walk with you. Even when you mess up, they don't put you out. They don't judge you. They don't set you aside. They are in your grill. Why? Because they know at the end of the day, It is about your life. And another thing that I appreciate, it is not about numbers. It is about saving who you are. It is not about numbers. They are not impressed with numbers. They are impressed with the person that is sitting or standing in front of them. And I'm telling you, it is so worth experience. I'm encouraging y'all to come to the graduation. Some of the
we invited. Come on,
invite me to graduation.
Invite me to graduation. Okay. Listen, we all have goosebumps, I'm sure. Just like Ashley, it was somebody who commented on Facebook or something, and she said, what a beautiful testimony, because a lot of people may need a testimony like that. So we're so happy to have you here with us tonight, Carlita, because we can all talk about experiences that we've seen, but you actually have lived it. So we're thankful to have you, and we'll hear so much more of you. Ryan, let's continue this. We're going to bring back in Mr. Barron.
There he is.
The angle's good.
I think so.
Okay, good.
We got you back. We got you back. Now, before you left, you were, talking a little bit about your goals for Baltimore. You can continue there and let us know a little bit about Project Safe Neighborhoods, what you're doing with that.
Sure. So really, first among our priorities is helping to make sure that Baltimore is a safe place to live, work, and play, to grow a family, to educate, and so that, all of us, young, more mature, all of us in this city and throughout Maryland have every opportunity to grow and fulfill all of our God-given talents. And the way that we are doing that, and I Care Baltimore just works right into it, is our Project Safe Neighborhoods initiative, which we are revitalizing and reforming as a violence reduction and gun reduction, crime fighting strategy. Now, everyone is well aware of the law enforcement side of that, but more important side that doesn't get as much attention as it should is our community-based crime prevention, reentry support and strategies that goes right along with and in sync with everything that we do to reduce crime in the city of Baltimore and throughout the state. So what does that mean? It means that really a centerpiece of what we do, whether it's enforcement, crime prevention, reentry, it has to be community-based. It has to be. You can't do justice without involving the community as a real and true equal partner in everything that we do. So we are at the table and supportive of our reentry and returning citizen programs and organizations. We have convened and are convening monthly a Maryland statewide alliance of reentry programs. We are supportive of all community-based crime prevention strategies and programs, particularly those focused on our youth. We have to make sure that young people understand their value, understand their somebodyness, as Dr. King would say, and make sure that they don't even get involved in gangs in the first place. And to the extent that they get involved in conflicts, we need to arm them with conflict resolution skills. So that's what we're doing. We are getting ourselves in the schools, not just in the courtroom, but we have attorneys getting in the schools. We have administrative professionals getting in the schools and reaching these young people and showing them their value, showing them what they can reach. And I Care Baltimore just goes right along with that. That is, if we're gonna get out of a cycle of violence, it's not going to be through arrests and prosecution. It's going to be through community-based interventions. It's going to be as that village, that family of all of us.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. We're all each other's villages. So we have to make sure we continue that. Sydney, let's talk about what the mayor's office and neighborhood safety and engagement is doing right now. And what are some things we can look forward to?
Sure. So the mayor's vision for Baltimore is one that's rooted in a holistic approach to neighborhood health and safety. And he charged monthly with empowering community partners like Veronica at Pivot and city agencies to play a more active role in the co-production of public safety and ultimately the prevention of violence. And we use the Comprehensive Violence Prevention Plan to inform and guide this work. And that plan was also developed and informed by members of the community. Like I stated earlier, there's nothing that we do at Monty that is not, community and resident driven. So we do all of our work through a trauma responsive, healing centered, and equity based approach in coordination and collaboration with community based organizations, city agencies, law enforcement, and other local, federal, and state partners. The U.S. Attorney brought up the word village. We are very strong believers that it really takes community partners and community collaboration to develop and create a change that's not only immediate, but that's sustainable in the future. And community-based organizations like Pivot are such a huge part of that work. So.
Absolutely, and we're very thankful to have you with us tonight. What were you saying, Ryan?
Now I was saying that's amazing. That's good stuff. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about all these grassroots organizations, community-based organizations, and it's really important that we continue to highlight these individuals that are doing these things in our community. They don't get a lot of the superhero, bells and whistles, but they're definitely on the front line. They're on the streets every day, and you see like Carlita. These programs make a difference. They touch people's lives. They change people's lives. That's why we want you to continue to support programs like this. I Care. Head on over to the website, ibaltimorecare.com. Take that pledge. Show people, show the community what you're able to do. This doesn't have to be a whole lot. Do something. All these wonderful organizations such as Pivot. I'm sure they would welcome all kinds of help. So I just want to continue to encourage people to get involved and do their part.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Star Everett. Said Pivot saved my mind. I have participated in many self-help programs, but nothing like Pivot. That speaks volumes right there. From Star to Carlita, I'm sure so many other testimonies. Veronica, let's talk about resources that Pivot program provides for those who may have missed some things earlier, like job training and placement.
So at Pivot, we have a holistic approach. So we have not only the mental health component, the personal success component. We partner with so many different small businesses as well as large organizations for the workforce component. So there are so many opportunities for businesses to be a resource, right? When you think about rebuilding Baltimore, changing and shaping our new Baltimore, there's no one entity that does not have space at Pivot to get involved. We have room literally for everyone that wants to lend a hand or be a resource, whether it's from mental health. One, I just want to give a big shout out to Baltimore Mediation. They are on the ground with us in the streets, doing mediation services, not only in our program, but for women. And just everything that we do is a resource-centered approach that addresses the whole individual woman. So everyone has the opportunity to really truly connect with us. Whether you have a small business, you're the HR person at a large entity, you have an opportunity to be a part of a woman's new journey.
I love that. Nicolita, of course, knows that hands-on right there.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, I Care is a program that's all about anti-crime. That's the base goal. We're trying to get this crime reduced and protect our kids, protect our neighborhoods, get our communities stronger. What is the importance, or how can all these different community organizations that are participating in I Care help to break the cycle of crime? We'll open it up to anybody who would like to jump in on that one.
I think the cycle of crime, it really starts in the community, right? It's really addressing how we look at ourselves and the traumas that we've been through. If you, as a youth, it starts very young. If we're working with that mom and that mom has always viewed herself in one particular way, and then her children are the next generation that's viewing themselves in that same way, the way that we start to combat any of that is really with starting with how we view ourselves and how do we address and communicate. A lot of the anger, a lot of the violence that we see in our community is really miscommunication, our inability to effectively communicate our thoughts, our emotions, and our feelings, right? More importantly, how we're showing up. If I'm not showing up as the very best version of myself, I don't care if Persia is showing up as the very best version of herself. I have no issue with shooting Persia or stabbing her or doing any harm to her because I'm not the very best version of myself.
Yeah.
Well put.
So can I add something to that?
Yes, please.
So just speaking, I can only speak from my own experience. Literally, when you look into someone's eyes, you can see a reflection of yourself. Literally. I've done it. I do it. I give good eye contact because when I look at you, I should be able to see myself. But in order to do that, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable in your own skin, if that makes sense. Just like Veronica said, I come from a place of low self-esteem. Growing up, my mother wasn't affectionate. No one told me that they loved me. No one told me that I was beautiful. I had an absent father. And so I was seeking for love from all the wrong places. So I'm not making excuses for the decisions that I make, but they had some kind of influence. And so for me, in breaking that generational curse that plagued me, I had to look inward. And as an adult, I don't have kid issues anymore. Why? Because I was put in a position where I had to deal with me. I had to sit with me. I had to accept everything that I seen when I looked in the mirror, flaws and all. And at some point, we have to come to a place that we are not talking at each other, but we are talking to one another, because adults have, and now I'm speaking for the kids, as adults, we have the tendency to say, I've been there, so listen to what I have to say. And mainly the kid in me will speak up and say, no, I had something to say, because 9 times out of 10, all they want to do is to be heard. They want somebody to listen. They want to know that somebody cares. And because we lack that level of compassion and passion, that's why our crime rate is the way that it is. That's why when we turn on the news, we see what we see, because we lack the knowledge of who we are. Because as individuals, I got it together. And so now I'm expecting you to get it together without the black print, without the way in which I got to get there. And that is what's missing, is a big chunk of that. And I'm not saying individuals are doing it, but collectively, let's bring our resources together. Now I'm speaking as the personal success coach for Pivot, because I am employed for Pivot.
I know that.
People, when they see your potential and when they know who you are, they don't want you to waste that. So they're going to do everything that they can to help you see who you are and not go backwards. I'm telling you, there's days where I contemplated, should I go back and hustle? Should I go do this because that's what I'm familiar to? Should I go call this person? But because I had a good team, because I had healthy people who was not afraid to get in the trenches and say, look, boo, you are more than that. And you got to make some tough adult decisions. But first, you got to look at you and be accountable for the decisions that you make. And I'm saying, if we can come off our high horses and just meet people where they are, we will have a better community.
Yeah,
I agree 100%. And that's what it's all about too. I think, sometimes when you don't know yourself, it's hard to trust somebody else. So it starts with us inside. But like as organizations, from the mayor's office to the U.S. Attorney's office to Pivot, like how can you help people and help the communities in our culture? Because our culture sometimes doesn't trust people. How can you help them trust you? What are you doing to implement into the communities to show, hey, you can trust us. We're here to help you. Mr. Barron, let's start with you.
Is that one from me?
Yeah, I want to do like an open question, but we'll start with you, like what you are doing, what your office is doing to, help the communities understand that you're there for them, to help them trust you. Let's take it over to you really quick, Mr. Barron. We'll check back in with you, Sydney. What about you for the mayor's office?
Yeah, so I mean, both Veronica and Carlita mentioned communication and having voices. I think historically, city government hasn't given residents a platform to even have an option to have a voice. So we're trying to step in and say, hey, like, this is your city. You all need to be informing this work. We want to hear from you and tell us what you need to see from us so that we can turn things around. I know Mayor Scott is really intentional about accessibility to city government, increasing methods and avenues for people to even, have a seat at the table, for people to participate in what happens in their city government. And transparency. We want people to see what we're doing. We have nothing to hide. So I think it's really important to let people know that, this is your work too. You have a place in this. Come join the conversation. Come lead the conversation. Tell your public servants what you want to see from them. And we recognize that, there's a lot of work to be done to build trust. And a lot of instances, we are establishing trust where trust has never existed. So I think it's about being patient, letting residents inform the work, and partnering with folks like Veronica and like Carlita, who have that credibility and accessibility, and can tell community members like, hey, these are good folks, and you all need to participate in the process as well.
Absolutely.
Looks like we have Mr. Barron back.
What would a video stream be without technical difficulties?
Of course.
We got, so that's my role today.
Only right.
To answer your question, just put it very bluntly and simply, the U.S. Attorney's Office has to, come down from the ivory tower. We got to be in the community. We got to be at the table. We have to be actively supporting in every area as it relates to law enforcement, as it relates to community intervention, mentoring, all the above. We have to actively find ways to be at the table, to be holding hands, embracing. There's a African proverb that says, the child not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. I Care Baltimore is about that embrace. It's about that embrace, and we have to embrace our youth. We have to embrace our adults when they make a mistake. We have to be about that embrace, and I think there's a corollary. The child that is embraced will help the village grow and keep it safe. So that's what it boils down to. That's what we have to do as partners, and we can do it. And that's what I Care Baltimore is about. It's about that embrace.
Absolutely. What about you, Veronica?
I think that it's really truly about all of us working together collectively. I know for a fact that if we all came together utilizing all of our resources, people may want to talk to me or participate in our program. And we have to always make sure that we are leading, but more importantly, we're walking in an authentic way. Many times in our city, there are a lot of different programs that say this is what you should do. There are a lot of different legislation that says this is what must take place. But how many times are the people that are being affected by these programs, by this legislation, at the forefront of the conversations? And it's really about making sure that we're all collectively coming together to use all of our resources together, but more importantly, that we're having conversations led by the people. Because we can't govern a city if there are no people. There is no healing if there are no people. If we continue on the track in which we're going, we're going to continuously have a rise in our violence. But we know the cure to curbing violence is communication. Let the people lead the communication. Let the communities lead the communication. And oftentimes, encouraging our community, encouraging Mr. Barron might can't talk for some of the leads I talk to, right? Mr. Barron might not be on Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm going to be on Pennsylvania Avenue, right? And getting those same people to understand, look, come get involved in this legislation process. Even if you don't know, I'm going to hold your hand so that you can understand the laws that are being governed for your community. So you can understand the process of what this law states, so that you can change and have your voice heard. A lot of times, I really believe that we're not utilizing all of our communication skills and collectively having these conversations with everyone. And that's what it is.
Yep. That's why tonight's really important, because Veronica, if you're on Pennsylvania Avenue, Mr. Barron isn't, or the mayor's office isn't, at least you can say, hey, Mr. Barron, this is what's going on over here. We need help in this section over here. Mayor Brandon Scott is happening over here with the communication engagement. This is what we can do collectively. And this is what the people need and what they want, because if we're not voicing what we need and what we want, and it's not being heard or even getting anything delivered, then what's the next steps? Or what are we even doing then at this point, right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we can't determine what next steps would be, because the next steps are not being filled in by the people. They're being written for the people. Right. And then we can't complain as a community when these things are being written and we're not a part of it. Right. And so that's where it's really about using your voice, coming together collectively and really working with individuals to get what their feedback is. What is it that they want? What is it that they need? Even all the way down to our youth. The young people are telling us, whether it's through their behavior, whether it's through their conversations, whether it's through any of those different methods of communication, they're telling us what they need. We have to be open to listening and not judging, not getting upset, not getting angry, because what happens in the anger is it's us trying to control the situation. It's us trying to control the narrative. And it's really not being honest and transparent. So there's no leading to a solution.
Very well said. Very well said. Now, there are a lot of organizations, community-based organizations that are involved in eye care, right? There are a lot of components. Now, we know that we're all about highlighting these different community-based organizations and all the wonderful and amazing things they do. Now, I guess this is for you, Sydney. Now, all these different organizations, these CBOs, when they come to you, I'm sure sometimes they may need some help as well, besides just the, marketing and the promotion of what they're doing. Does your office provide any extra assistance or any other kind of help to these organizations?
Yes, really, really glad that you asked that question. So we provide funding for community-based organizations that are involved in violence intervention, victim services work, youth justice, community healing, and pivot reentry. Mayor Scott allocated $50 million in ARPA funds to Muncie back in 2021. So far, we have granted over $18 million of that money to different community-based organizations that are focused in those lanes that I mentioned, including Pivot. So we are still encouraging CBOs and engaged in those lanes to submit funding requests, and they can do so at muncie.baltimorecity.gov. All of the information is on our website. The application process is pretty straightforward, but we're always really happy and excited to help folks through that process. We have a lot of dollars to give out, so please, please, please apply.
Absolutely. See, so big shout out to all our community-based organizations out there that are doing some things. There is some help out here, and that's great to know. I'm sure they're very happy about that. I heard so many amazing things tonight, Persia. I mean, so many amazing, powerful things. Carlita, your testimony has been absolutely moving and has touched so many folks, I'm sure. But this is what it's all about. I care, and one of the things I heard was being relatable, being able to be approachable to these people so that they can get the help from these programs. And I think Carlita, you were a perfect example of that this evening. And I'm so happy that you were here to join us to tell your story. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate that, sir.
I was going to say, I want to say one of the things First of all, Carlita gave you guys a real nice version.
Okay.
Okay, it was not easy to convince her, but we'll go with her version tonight. But I want to say, first and foremost, thank you to I Care Baltimore, right? This platform and just us being able to get the message out about Pivot, for me, I felt like Pivot was a very small, well-kept secret where we were doing amazing work. We're in the community. Some attorneys knew about us, some judges knew about us, but not enough people in our city knew about this gender-specific women's-only program. And so it's through partnerships and opportunities like I Care Baltimore to be able to bring a small nonprofit like myself to a platform where hopefully we're able to reach so many different individuals that can take advantage of the service. Not only are we able to reach individuals, but since being a part of this, we have gotten emails and just requests for volunteers that want to volunteer, businesses that want to be engaged. All of that matters, especially when we are mainly on the ground doing the work, right? And if you know anything about nonprofits, you can't always afford big platforms like this. So just keep doing the work that you all are doing. Thank you so much at I Care for this opportunity, because without it, we could be missing so many people here in our city that could benefit from it.
Absolutely. And that's the whole point of this conversation tonight too. And I think it's important to have open conversations like this. And really quick, I know we have about less than 10 minutes left of this conversation tonight, but if you have any questions, wherever you're watching from, just make sure you kind of hop it over here real quick, and so we can make sure we get it answered. Gregory Thomas Jr., people who care for Baltimore City need to believe Baltimore City can change from experiencing extreme difficulties and experiencing to excellently thriving city. Which I understand. I mean, we want to make sure that we can actually enhance Baltimore City, and it changes and it gets different. And, if you're just viewing, and right now we can kind of circle back to what we talked about earlier, the plans and how you can, feel like you can trust these different organizations and all the help that you can get. I do want to circle back to that. And Mr. Barron, I want to ask you, what do you think is the importance of reentry programs and, programs that really help us get back on our feet?
I mean, if we're not seriously, and actively funding and supporting reentry, then we're just spinning our wheels. We gotta give folks every opportunity to be successful, because their success is our success. Right. We tried it the other way, and that didn't work so well. So we got to identify when folks are at a certain point when they're coming out in the community, and we got to make sure that we hold their hand on the way out, and we help them get home. We help them with services, jobs. Our office is hosting and co-sponsoring job and reentry fairs, so we can get, people the services and the support system that they need. Some of them may not have it like we do, so we have to fill the gaps. We have to.
Yeah, we had to be on the ground 10 toes all the time.
Definitely. I also just want to emphasize how important it is to uphold our family structures in our city. And I think reentry is such an important component of that work. We need to make sure that returning citizens are returning to their families as maybe not their best selves in that moment, but they have resources to work towards that, so that our family structures are upholded and repaired, because public safety starts with the folks that are in your household. So if we don't have programs like Pivot, we don't have resources for folks that are returning to get back on their feet and to work to being their best selves, they can't be that person for their families that, are at home with them. So I think that's really important to highlight as well.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Veronica. No.
Ms. Burns, I think that you are absolutely correct. One of the things that aids in constant recidivism, which I've seen when, serving, working in corrections, people could leave every single day But the two things that brought them back was the lack of support and the lack of resources.
Yeah.
We have to channel our energy, our funding, our connections, and our support to providing the resources and the support. Because you know that people can successfully re-enter into society if they have the right resources and the right support. And that's where our investment needs to be, ensuring that people have the successful tools, not when they're at the gate and the sign says, don't come back, make positive choices. It needs to start before they even get to the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can leave prison, hitting the ground running, thriving, and doing all of the amazing things that your life has before you.
Yeah.
I was going to say pretty much the same thing, Veronica. I mean, the importance of, getting someone back on their feet coming out is so much more than just, like Carlita said, just giving them a job.
Right.
There's a lot of mental healing that needs to take place. There's a lot of trauma that's happening there. And, you said it very well. That's where we need to invest. And as well as for our youth, hitting them before they hit the gate of those prisons, so it's very important that we continue to make sure that people in our community know that these resources are here. People need to know that people are here that care, and we got to close that gap and build that bridge and continue to make a difference. And that's what iCare is doing. And that's why I want to continue to implore and encourage everyone that's listening right now. Share, talk about it with your friends, talk about with your homies, your girls, let's make a difference one person at a time. And it really can happen that way.
Absolutely. Ryan for president. Ladies and gentlemen. I'd vote for you. No, but absolutely. And that's why this conversation tonight is so important, because wherever you're watching from, whatever your situation is, at least you know that we care. And there's so many different resources here in the city of Baltimore and beyond that you can tell your family and your friends about, because you might feel like there's nothing that you can do next, but there's so many things you can do next. Carlita is a testimony right now, living testimony, to show you this is what you can do next. You can train other people to be a better Baltimore, a better person, a better mother or a father or sister or brother, whatever it may be. So I know we don't have that many minutes left, but let's talk about the roles, the goals, and the resources really quick for each organization. Veronica, really quick, let's start with you.
So the goals of Pivot is, honestly, at the point that we are right now, our goal is to make sure that every woman is the best version of herself. The ways that you can support our goals is, please send us an email. You can log on to our IG, send us a message, DM. We always respond within 24 to 48 hours. There are many different ways that you can support our work, whether it's wanting to give a financial donation, if you're able to sponsor a woman, mentor a woman, you have employment opportunities, or even clothing opportunities. Women need to interview. Are you able to donate your time? Our goal right now, we are currently servicing 60 women. We want to grow by next year, 2023, to 120 women.
Nice. That's going to happen. There we go.
Yep.
One at a time. There we go.
Okay.
Sydney, what about you? Let's talk about roles, goals, and of course, resources.
Sure. So Monsi's goal is to increase public safety in Baltimore, no matter what that looks like, whether that's violence reduction, whether that's, re-entry work. Public safety means something different to everybody. So no matter what that looks like for you, we want everybody to feel like they can live, work, play in Baltimore City. The way that you can support Monsi is to spread the word about the work we're doing, spread the word about this money that we have that we're trying to get rid of. Help your community by, letting them know that we're here to support, we're here to partner. We just want to uplift the work of others and be as supportive as we can. So
let's get it, Mr. Barron.
Mr. Barron.
Sure. I mean, our mission and goal really mirrors what you just heard from Monsi, and we're your federal partner, and we mean that in the best sense of the word, partnership, and that means we want to be a force multiplier, so to speak, for all of the great community organizations out there doing the hard work on the ground where we can't be all the time. And so that means, we got to be, as best we can at the table, in the room, and communicating and being recipients of communication and listening, and really working to make sure that we are supporting, good, strong programs, such as the one we just heard, Pivot, and many others out there doing the hard work on the ground.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to say one last thing. If you are a woman that has recently been released, or you have a criminal background, it could have been 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or you are a woman that's currently on home detention, or you have charges and you are pending upcoming court, please reach out to us. We're here to help. We really truly invest only in women. No shade to the fellas, but we are a gender specific program. If you are a man and you are listening, we will connect you to a male reentry program or a male supportive reentry program. Also, thank you, Monsi, for all of the support you guys have given us. Because honestly, without organizations such as Monsi and Federal Dollars, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of the work that we're doing right now.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah. And we all took that pledge when we started. So if you missed it, we all pledged to do great things for our community. So show you care, do something great for your community. You can log on to icarebaltimore.com. Just take the pledge, whatever it is. It could be something where you feel like it's very small, but it's very big to somebody else. So let's all make sure we show that we care in our communities. And we're so thankful to be a part of this tonight on behalf of the Radio 1 family. Thank you, everybody that's been a part of this panel. You are so amazing in every single possible way. And we're thankful to have you with us.
Yes, appreciate all you taking time tonight and sharing. It helps. It's making a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. And good night.
Thank you.